Hello, I am Sophie welcome back to my channel, and welcome to the first vlog installment to the summer writers retreat. Very exciting. This is technically prep for my writing retreat, so these words are not being counted towards the retreat, but still good work. If you missed it, my main goal for the retreat is to finish draft 4 of my little baby project, Project What? And I have already outlined Act 1 of the book a long time ago, so really my prep for the retreat is just writing as much of the story as I possibly can before the retreat actually begins. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, starting was a little bit slow. It was a little rough. Even before I really started writing the first chapter of the book, I was stuck between just line editing the scenes that I had in draft 3 or completely rewriting them to fit my current style. Initially, before I even finished revision and I finished re-outlining Act 1, I thought that this was going to be just a nice line edit session. I thought I was just going to be able to copy and paste the scenes I needed from draft 3 into draft 4 and just tweak them a little bit, get on with my day. But upon rereading the first scene in chapter 1 again, I realized that the intro to this book is a mess. So complete rewrite it was. And even after I made this decision, writing was still so slow because I could not, for the life of me, figure out how I wanted to start this book. I feel like maybe I had overhyped it to myself. I had somehow convinced myself that this version needs to be perfect, and that if it's not perfect, there's no point in writing it, or something parallel to that, So it was a little slow going, it was a little intimidating, but I ended up at a coffee shop with my friend where I managed to start and finish the opening scene of the book. So, a win is a win. And I knew that was the biggest hurdle I needed to get over before the word floodgates could open. So once I was done with that first scene, I was very excited to get going with the rest of the book. But just to be clear, it was only a little bit faster because this is quite deep in the development process, because I am on draft 4 now. A lot of things are more concrete and I just need to make them the best they possibly can be. This is definitely going a lot slower than the drafting I'm typically used to, because I don't have another project that's this far down the line. I'm barely even out of the stages of fast drafting. So drafting going this slow is a little weird, but it makes sense. I'm trying to come to terms with it, but it's still a really weird feeling. Hello! Here's me talking, I guess, because I was at my parents' house for the entire beginning of this vlog. I'm hoping editing me put in a little voiceover recapping what happened then, but if not, I'll tell you here too. I have started draft 4 of Project What? This is the outline that I made in another video that I can link, and this is draft 3. Sure you guys know that I am referencing heavily because right now I'm in the process of rewriting Act 1. I talked about this in my goals for the writing retreat video, but I am rewriting Act 1 before I start working on Act 2 and Act 3 because I have not read Act 2 or Act 3 of the book just yet. I'm kind of waiting to approach those two parts of the story after I've written Act 1 and I know what changes I've made. They're not major changes, but like, you know, there's gonna be some changes in there that like need to be addressed later in the book. So I didn't touch it yet. I do not know, well, I know what happens in the rest of the book, but I don't know the true state of the rest of the book just yet. So I'm in the process of writing Act 1 again. As you can see from where these papers are, I'm not crazy far. In fact, I just started chapter 3, or I'm about to start chapter 3. And because this draft is so far along, these chapters are huge. So I'm on chapter 3, but there's a little over 8,000 words in the draft so far. So there's like 4,000 words per chapter, which is kind of insane because I'm so used to writing like at max 2,000 words a chapter. So to have double that, kind of scary, but it just doesn't feel right to split it any further than I have already. So I've written about 8,000 words. Most of that too has been like actual rewriting. I thought maybe it would just be copy and paste, a little bit of line editing, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. No. I have the book open next to me while I'm writing, and I use it as like a reference for a plot to follow, and I'm pretty much rewriting the entire thing. At least that was how these first 2 chapters went. I don't know if maybe it gets better as the act goes on. I can't really remember. But like, this is writing from 3 years ago. This is writing from 3 years ago, okay? I've written quite a bit since then, and arguably I've gotten better at writing. So I was like, I don't want to leave this 3-year-old writing in this draft. So I kind of did like a full sweep and rewrote most of it, just while keeping the same information I wanted to relay. So all those times I was like, oh yeah, it's gonna be an easy rewrite. I'm like gonna copy and paste most things and just add new stuff. I didn't take into account the fact that past me wasn't as good at writing as I am now, or as developed in style as I am now. That has been another factor in this. I have pretty much completely rewritten the 2 starting chapters, and I will be pretty much completely rewriting chapter 3 as well. I'm pretty sure all of it will be new, minus like a couple paragraphs. I'm sure you guys know what Project What is about. I don't mention this a lot in like synopses anymore, which I should, because it's a major part of the book. But we open on the main characters all meeting. They all meet for the first time because they are the newest students, or a part of the newest group of students that have been admitted to this super nice, prestigious school on the island that this book takes place on. And this is like, it's pretty much the university of this island. Kids starting at 16 do 8 years of school in a profession that will ultimately benefit the island. I did the math a couple days ago, but there's like about 4 million people on the island, and there's a little over 1,000 people enrolled in this school, so it's very small, very exclusive, and they all have different reasons why they were working towards getting into this school, and they all end up there at the beginning of the book. They are all arriving to the school to settle into their dorms to get ready for the school year. And that is where the story begins, is at this school, because if they were not at the school, they would not be connected with what ultimately ends up happening, which is everything else I talk about when I'm talking about Project What. The whole cult thing that ends up happening, and they're back and no one knows why they're back. The 3 main characters of this book probably wouldn't care that they were back and that this was happening if they didn't end up at this school and they didn't have a connection to this in a way that I will not say because that's spoilers. I need to start mentioning that more because that's how the book opens, and I think people are going to get very confused. All that to say, we're at the school now, and chapter 3 begins with the first day of classes. So chapter 1, chapter 2 was everyone meeting each other, a sort of orientation that kind of stuff. But chapter 3, they're actually going to class now. Today is their first day, and we're gonna kind of see like just a bit more, I guess, character. We're just gonna get more into their heads about like how they're seeing this opportunity, how they view themselves almost. Like that's what's really happening here. Because yeah, they are at a school, they need to go to class, but it is a boarding school, basically. It's like university. They're left to their own devices. It's gonna get a little fun, but we do have to be serious, at least for one day. Just one. So that's what I'm working on, or I'm about to start working on. This one is another one that I need to completely redo because the version I have in the book right now is very anecdotal. It's very like, oh, and they go to this class and this is what they did, and then they go to this class and then this is what they did. And like, not fun. Sure, it gives us an insight onto the kind of world that they live in, which is something I need to keep, but it doesn't really give us a look inside of the characters. It's just like, the characters are here, but we don't really know much about them. I'm gonna try not to reference this because like I talked about when I was writing Project Glass, I find that I can write significantly better scenes compared to the ones before if I don't reference the previous ones. Like in dire circumstances, I'll reference it, especially if it's a scene that I remember loving. But like just in general, I try not to reference back to the old writing because it can kind of muddy what I'm trying to come up with, and it can kind of constrain what happens in the scene to being what has already happened in the previous version. And frankly, especially for this one, I don't want that to happen. So if I just take the like spine of the scene and just give myself the points I need to follow instead of like the actual prose and what's actually being shown, I can come up with a much better scene. So I'm just gonna look through this, make sure I have what classes we're seeing the characters go to correct, and then we're just gonna start writing without looking at this. No looking at this. Looking at this, but not the book. Yeah. Anyways, let's do this. I might go get coffee or something later too because I'm a little sleepy. I don't know why, but we'll just see where the day takes us. The afternoon. It's 3 p.m. Don't worry about it. Alright guys, by this point, I had a little bit of a change of heart. Now, I'm kind of loving this whole revision and deep improvement process. I've just loved taking these scenes that I'm like so familiar with at this point and just adding more to them. Add more characterization, add more lore I've learned about the characters over time into these scenes has been so much fun. And I've loved restructuring these scenes, once again, scenes that I'm super familiar with at this point, and just reordering them in a way that best shows how the characters are in control of these scenes. I love it. I love it. I'm having so much fun. And, you know, maybe this is because, and don't tell my other projects I said this, but I am finally writing my favorite project ever for the first time in like 2 years. It's like waiting for your favorite dish at a restaurant and you're starving. Like, you're gonna love it, no matter what, you know? And even though I feel like I'm not getting a lot done, because by the end of this vlog, I finished not even 4 chapters, I still am having a blast. Just enjoying the journey. Essentially, just loving the journey. Anyways, yes, by the end of the month, I had written about 3.5 chapters, which was roughly 11,000 words. And even then, it wasn't a ton of words. Like, if I was fast drafting or I was drafting something that was in an earlier stage, I could have gotten more than double that amount of words, I'm pretty sure, in the same amount of time. But compared to those hypothetical words, I am so much happier with the quality of the writing that I've been able to add to Project What this time around. So, not really looking at word counts, going for vibes. It's so much better. That is a relief. But that is it for this prep in quotation marks video, please look out for more summer writing retreat content in which it's actually the retreat and we're actually writing for the retreat. Those will be coming at you guys very soon. But thank you so much for watching. Thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out. How is your writing going? By the time you guys are seeing this, we are well into the first month of the retreat. So I hope you guys are doing well. Let me know everything in the comments, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.